Yeah, I'm back. How's it going, guys? John here, bringing you another edition of the Team Gradelock Standard Market Watch. So Henry is a little bit busy today with the overall hype that is DBT02. He is getting himself ready, and I thought it would be good to talk to you guys about some good old standard market goodness. Now, of course, we're going to be going over some of the speculation when it comes to the Japanese market, and that being a reflection of the English market. But I thought it would also be good to talk about some key staple cards from DBT01 and Festival Collection that might be some good investments for the future. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be going over all of that, and if you do enjoy this style of content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as it does help us, and we greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're interested in any of these cards that I am talking about in today's Market Watch, please check our TCG player link in the description down below. If you use our affiliate link, it helps us and supports the channel and costing you nothing extra. Anyway, guys, let's go over today's standard Market Watch to see which cards are money, which cards are minus, and which cards are plus. Alright, so now let us talk about the market for DBT02. Guys, at the time of this recording, DBT02 is going to be coming around next week. We have sneak peeks happening tomorrow, and the market is going to start showing these cards. Anyway, for the Japanese market, the two most expensive cards are, of course, the DSRs, being Danji and Toya, respectively, with their Bruce and Bastion. Bastion being, of course, the more expensive one out of the two. However, I do see Bruce staying at a steady rate right now of $150 and Bastion being at around $175. That being a direct reflection, though, it's kind of hard to tell. I do see Bastion definitely being the more expensive one out of the two, as even with DBT02, Bastion is still the top contender for the overall metagame. That being said, though, if you don't have the DSRs lying around, the SP ones are still also going to be expensive, but with these two respectively, I do see them probably being a reflection of around maybe $150 to $220, especially if we're talking about DSRs in general, because the Trickstar DSR still goes for around $220, so the prices should falter right around there, maybe even a little more depending on ratios for the overall cases. But time will tell when it comes to that. Anyway, now let's talk about the actual good old money cards of the set, that is the SPs. So looking at it, of course, the most expensive card is going to be Dragonic Overlord himself. Guys, Overlord tax is still very real, and the prices, of course, reflect that on the market. We see that the lowest listing for it currently going for around $60, and then after that, the most expensive SP is going to be good old Phantom Blaster Dragon at around $50. But that doesn't mean anything else isn't going to be worth a value. Of course, you're going to have your key staple cards for everything going forward. Leonard, of course, currently going for around a $20 SP, which is very nice. I do see that being a very high valued SP, especially if we're talking about Bruce in the metagame. Very good investment in my eyes. The Brant Nation SP also being at around $20 also makes sense to me. And of course, the Link Joker one actually surprisingly going for around $25. Surprising yet not surprising. Actually, Orphist is a still strong contender when it comes to the DBT02 metagame. They get a lot of support here, and they're actually looking very, very good. And of course, Elgar or Urgar over here going for around $35. Very interesting, but also makes sense. Main character deck. So it will, of course, reflect the price, and the overall SP art actually looks super nice in my opinion. If we're scrolling down a little further than that, though, there are a couple of staple cards you definitely want to look out for. The encounter cards in general, I do see have very good longevity in the future, if not for their support and if not for their power, then just for the fact that they are a nostalgia card, and people do like their nostalgia, and Bushiroad loves giving us nostalgia, so keep that in mind. Other than that, though, of course, it also reflects. You see here Maka going for around $25, as well as the Blaster Dark Encounter card going for around $25. And then after that, in my opinion, some key SP cards to look out for would, of course, be the new front triggers that we're getting. Now, guys, these front triggers, in my opinion, are going to be very strong for the DBT02 metagame, and the prices will, of course, reflect that. We have here around $20 per SP copy of the new front triggers. 20k shield is no lie, and if anything, these are probably going to be the key cards you're going to want to pick up for your decks. Yeah, so SP is looking very spicy at the current moment. Stuff to keep your eye on, and if you pull any of these guys, you're definitely looking for some super plus. So let's go ahead and talk about the triple rares now. So of course, if Dragonic Overlord is the most expensive SP, his triple rare will reflect that as well. Going for around $13 right now on the current market with Elgar. Gotta remember it's Urgar, going for around $13 as well. And then after that, it slowly trickles to around Phantom Blaster Dragon and then other key staples for other nation cards. Now, in my opinion, one to keep out for out of all of these guys, if we're talking about release weekend, look out for Leonard. Leonard is going to be a very, very good card, going for around $7 to $8 right now, and I definitely do see this card having a higher longevity in the future, especially because it has an amazing support in terms of Bruce and the Final Rush strategy as a whole. It's a very good card and definitely a card to keep your eye on. Lastly, let's just talk about the double rares real quick. A lot of the double rares are kind of, they're fine. They all have a right around $1 to $3 range. The prices, of course, will reflect a little higher in overall value when it comes to the English market, but you know, they are double rare, so it will be easier for everybody to get. A couple cards to keep of note of, though, is going to be the Dragon Empire Grade 1, currently going for around $8 at the current moment. I do seeing this having a very high reflection when it comes to the English market. This is a very good card for not only just the Varina strategy, but you can also play it in Overlord, you can also play it in Eugene. It just has a lot of synergy with a lot of cards for the respective nations. Now, looking at around other cards, another one to keep your eye on, definitely this one over here, Keter Sanctuary for the Hexa Orb deck. I personally think that Hexa Orb is being underlooked right now. It is a very powerful card for Keter Sanctuary as a whole, but more so specifically for Hexa Orb. Very good card in my eyes, so that would be another one to keep an eye on. And then the last ones I would look out for are these order cards over here. You can see that the Zorgo order card currently going for around $2 and the Magnolia card going for around $3. I personally see these as staple cards for the deck in the future. Not as a 4 of, but possibly as a 2 of or a 3 of. But they're still very powerful nonetheless, and there's stuff to keep your eye on. But yeah, overall, the double rares are very impressive. But, of course, they're not going to be your main bread and butter. Those being your triple rares and your SPs. All right, now moving right along, let us now talk about the actual English market itself. Let's talk about Festival Collection. So guys, Festival Collection at the time of the release was a very hype set. But now, as the metagame is progressing, as we're getting more cards, as DBT02 is going further down toward as we're getting introduced into the DBT02 metagame, you could see that prices are now starting to falter when it comes to some of these cards. Of course, the SPs are still going to be holding very high. You could see here, Seraph Snow still holding at around a $45 card, as well as Bastion holding around a $40 to $45 card, and Bruce also holding at a $50 range. These are going to be, you know, if you're not looking for the DSRs, these are going to be your next best thing. And actually, some people prefer this art over the DSR art, so it's also understandable why these have a higher price range when it comes to just the set in general. So it makes sense. But then after that, you can see that, you know, the Nirvana SP currently going for around $30. This kind of makes sense, though. There is currently like 2 different arts for Nirvana, one of them being the DSR, so it makes complete sense. Then over here, you can also see the critical triggers. Just the triggers in general, guys, are going to still be key staple cards when it comes to investments. So if you have any of these lying around, you can either get rid of them. If you want, you can try to hold on to them to see if the market will go up. I'm not 100% sure on that one, though, if I do say so myself. But oh man, this one hurts, guys. Magnolia currently going for only $20 on the market. Yeah, I mean, Magnolia does seem to be the highest loser when it comes to the DBT02 metagame as a whole, but that just doesn't mean it's not useless. It's just sad to see such a very powerful card being hindered at a $20 range. Maybe good for the Magnolia players if they would want to bling out their deck, but who knows. And then if we're not talking about the SP cards, this one over here, Trickstar, actually is a very, very good investment in my personal eyes. So let's talk about it. So Trickstar itself, when it comes to the overdress strategy, right, you want to play it as a 4-up. And if you're looking to upgrade your deck and you don't want to feel like getting $220 DSRs, well then the triple rare foiling from Festival Collection is your next best thing. So you can see here currently it's going for $5.75, 99-cent shipping, so around $7 on the market with only 15 listings. So let's keep that in mind. The most recent purchase of it being at the time of this recording, actually today, for around $7, and you can see with the 15 listings, it will slowly trickle to a $7 to eventually $8 card. Guys, if you have any of these Trickstars lying around, I would actually recommend to hold on to these. If they do not reprint Trickstar in a foily rarity version, this is definitely going to be one for the rarity people who want to bling out their deck, this is going to be one that they're going to be looking for, and it's a good investment to hold on to. And then after that, of course, we're talking about other key staple cards, so let's talk about now Brant Nation. With Prison specifically, let's talk about Spark Limon. So Limon currently is going for around $4 to $5 at the current market with 32 listings, so there is a high number of listings here for this specific card, with the most recent purchase being today actually for $5.38. You can currently see here that at the time of this recording, it is going for around $4 to $5 with a slow trickle to a $6 to eventually $7 card. Now guys, Limon is a very good card, do not get me wrong. I just don't see how much of a staple card is going to be for Prison in the future, especially since there's going to be a grade 1 that does the job of Limon, so it'll allow you to put more space in for your grade 2s. So this one is a kind of a maybe. I would personally say if you have any copies of Limon lying around and you're not using them in your Prison deck, try to get rid of them for a decent price before they eventually will tank. That is just my opinion though. And then lastly, just to kick out Festival Collection as a whole, you can see that when it comes to the triple rares in general, a lot of them are kind of faltering at the current moment. The most expensive one being My, currently going for around $4 to $5, so that's nice. But Verena, you can see after that as being the next best one, going for around $3 to $4. It kind of makes sense. The Verena strategy going forward, you're not going to be needing as many of the main grade 2 as you want to make room for your other overdress cards. Zone going for around $3 to $4, that's nice, but it's just, you know, more triggers than anything else, and less than the foily cards. Rafluke over here going for around $3 to $4 makes sense. The Bastion strategy for DBT02, you're probably still going to be run with Rafluke, as well as in Phantom Blaster, which would be very nice. Hexa Orb also would be very nice. So Rafluke still being a very nice card for the foily people. And after that, yep, just more triggers, more triggers, more triggers. So the triggers are nice, but after that, everything else starts to sink to like dollars, 50 cents. So if you have the triggers lying around, those are a good investment to hold on to, but everything after that, I would just hard sell for bulk, in my personal opinion. Festival Collection is nice, but I don't see it as a longevity investment opportunity unless you're talking about staple cards. All right, moving right along now, let's talk about Genesis of the 5 Greats, DBT01. So guys, if you have these cards lying around, these are some cards I recommend either holding on to or trying to get rid of at a very good price. These are going to be, in my opinion, staple cards for DBT02 going forward, and just very good cards in general. So first one over here, Aurora Battle Princess Agara Rouge, currently going for around $12 on the market with only 18 listings. Keep that in mind, guys. The most recent purchase being yesterday for around $13, and then if you go here, there are only 18 listings here with a slow trickle to a $13 card, but after that, it spikes to a $14 to $15 card, and you can see that the trickle is very real. Only one listing, two listings, one listing, and then it spikes. So yeah, guys, Agara Rouge is a very powerful card for the prison strategy. Now that there is an effective way to get your 3 prisons into the drop zone, she becomes an overall better card for her shield value, as well as just the free imprison. Soul Blast 1 on place is still very nice. I do see this being a staple card going forward for the prison strategy, so this is definitely a good investment if you have any lying around. Next, I want to talk to you guys about a card that actually surprised me. Now, this here over here, Diablo's Boy Eden, is currently going for around $18 on the market with only 7 listings remaining. And you guys might be thinking, that is just absolutely absurd, but it reflects that. Look at this, the most recent purchase being yesterday for around $18.99, $19 somebody bought this card. Absolutely insane. 7 listings left, and you can see it is a quick spike to a $20 card. Only one listing here for $18, and then $19, and then boom, $20 immediately. Guys, Eden is a very good card for the Diablo's strategy in general. Just having the crit pressure as well as the retire power on hit is very good. Whether it's going to be a staple card in the future is a very hard tell for me, because I personally think Leonard is just so much better. Of course, they can work synergistically with one another, but you know, the more Leonards you have on board, the harder you're winning. That's the way I see it when it comes to Final Rush as a whole. So Diablo's Boy Eden, a good card to hold on to, and if it spikes to that $20 range, that would be a perfect time to sell, in my opinion. All right, let us continue along the hype train of the amazingness of Standard with Detonation Mutant Bulbamine, another good staple card for Brant Nation. So guys, this little Godzilla thing over here, currently going for around $15 on the market with 24 listings, and if you look, the most recent purchase is, of course, for $15, so people are picking this up. And you can see here as you scroll down, there are 24 listings, and the thing about it is it's currently choking at around the $15 to $16 range. So whether it spikes higher than that, it's kind of going to be hard to tell. It is a double rare, so it is easier to pull than, say, a triple rare, but it is a card to consider for 4 of staples. For Prison, in my opinion, a little harder to tell. in terms of my playtesting at the current moment, it's a nice card to have in terms of flex, but I see this more for Orphis than anything else, since it's more of a consistent card that needs to counterblast too. Whether that's good for longevity, it's hard to tell, but Bulbamine, if you have any lying around, is just a good investment. And if your meta doesn't call for it, or if your locals doesn't have Brand Nation lying around, then hey, $15 is still a very good sell in my opinion. It's an amazing card to pull, and it's an amazing card to sell, for sure. All right, next, let's talk about a very, very good investment in my eyes, and that is Knight of War Damage Facado. So Facado is currently going for around $14 to $15 at the current market, with 21 listings, and the market reflects that with a most recent purchase of around $14 and 21 listings, with a slow trickle from a $15 card, but then spikes to an $18 to $17 card. Guys, Facado is an amazing card for not just Bastion, okay? We're also talking about for Hexa Orb. We're also talking about for Phantom Blaster. It is a solid unit that on hit just provides counter charging, provides soul charging, and just provides good support for Keter as a whole. So that being said, it is a card to consider worth investing into, and a card I see that if it does not get reprinted has a very, very good chance of spiking up to a $20 card for just the double rare, guys. Facado is a must. All right, now let us talk about over triggers. So guys, over triggers are over triggers. I don't need to say any more about that, but one thing I do want to say is that what I personally find interesting is that when we look at over triggers as a whole, you can see that the Keter Sanctuary goes for around $18, the Brant Nation one also for around $18, and the other for Stoicheia and for Dragon Empire also reflect around the $12 to $15 range. The one that surprises me the most, though, is this one over here for Dark States. So you can see here that the lowest listing at the current moment, it goes for around $8.70, so around the $9 to $8 range, with around 31 listings. And there's a bit of a struggle here, going for around a little bit over $8 and eventually $9, and it will spike to a $11 to $12 card, but it's going to take some time to get rid of some of these listings here on the market. So it's just interesting to me that if we're talking about Dark States as a whole, which is for Bruce going to be a very powerful contender for the metagame, as well as Barrow Magnus, this card is not being used? Question mark. I know you can use the vanilla trigger when it comes to Dark States for Bruce, because if you attack with Bruce and you restand the 2 units in the front board and you flip the vanilla over trigger, then you can give 2 units to 100 million power, therefore being more pressure. It just, to me, it seems odd because this is a very powerful over trigger. So it might be a good investment just in general, but maybe not. This is just something I found very interesting. What do you guys personally think of this one? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm definitely curious when it comes to this one. All right, now, there is a saying, I believe, in the standard format, and that is critical triggers are king. And the market kind of reflects that. So White Fang Witch Disma, the holo version specifically, goes for around $10 on the market with only 7 listings remaining. And you can see that the most recent purchase goes for around $10, so the market does reflect that. And there is a slow trickle from a $10 card to a $15 card. This completely makes sense, in my opinion, especially if they do not reprint key critical cards. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in my opinion when it comes to Disma, but it also makes sense when we're talking about this one over here, Barbizond, the Brant Nation critical trigger, currently going for around $9 with only 5 listings on the market. So this one's also kind of crazy. With a slow trickle for a $10 card. Oh, not even a slow trickle. Holy moly. It spikes to a $14 card after this one listing. This guy holding it down with only 8 listings. That's absolutely insane. I mean, it makes sense, guys. If Bushiroad decides not to reprint other critical triggers, or just not make any other critical triggers, then where else are you going to be getting your critical triggers from? You already have the ones from the trial decks, and you need the ones from DBT01 if you want to build out your critical lineup. And it's not just the holo triggers that reflect this, guys. So if I were to go over here to the just plain old common versions, you can see that Disma over here currently going for around $1.45 to around $2. If I scroll a little further, you can see Spark Dragon for around $1, $2. Flinty Slasher over here, $1.38. So around $2 as well. These critical triggers are selling. They're selling really well. So these are very nice penny stock cards to keep a hold of, especially if no reprint is abound for critical triggers. So yeah, crit triggers being king, meaning they might be king of the penny stocks when it comes to the standard format. And yeah, guys, that is going to do it for my market watch for the week. Overall, I'm actually very excited. I'm impressed with a lot of these cards that are showing a reflection on the market. It just shows that a lot of people are currently getting hyped for DBT02 and just enjoying standard as a whole, which I'm personally a big fan of as well. And I cannot wait to play some DBT02, guys. It's looking like a fun format. It's looking like a lot of shenanigans abound, and I cannot wait to show you guys some decks and maybe even some matches here on the channel. Anyway, guys, what do you think of all of these interesting buyouts that have been happening? Please let me know in the comments down below. Did I miss anything as well? Please let me know as well in the comments down below. How did I do in terms of the market watches? I know Henry is definitely going to be watching this, so he is slowly judging me. Henry, I hope I did a good job today. But yeah, with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed my market watches. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys maybe next time. We'll see. Deuces!